Hey everybody, this is another one of those videos that I just don't know how long it's going to last. I'm just going to keep this camera on me. I promise it won't last past the end of my Coke, because I'll turn off the camera to go get another Coke. But I did put my Skype on Do Not Disturb because I knew I'd be talking a long time on this one. Let's see. I'm just going to concentrate on Inventor Gorilla today. This is inspired by his video Wakey Wakey Hands Off Snakey and H8red42's video Inventor Gorilla is Winning. Yeah. In a way, I do think he is winning. You know, when you have, when you even realize it yourself that you have subscribers that pretty much are only subscribed to you to disagree with you and to see what you're going to say next that's going to be fucked up. That's the Charlie Sheen playbook right there, I guess, right now. So I see where H8red42 is coming from. In fact, before any of this happened, I had already had talks with Inventor Gorilla, and I'd already slung the little jab at him that he's Hollywood Gorilla. You know, no press is bad press, basically. And as much as it's bad to follow that as a mantra, I can see truth in the application of it. I mean, he's got over 200 subscribers. You know, so why are they there? So Inventor Gorilla has put it to me that I do not pwn people that are atheist as much as I pwn people that are theist. And I talked about this in my last long video, which, you know, this is probably going to become one of these long videos. His motivation in trying to get me to spend more attention on people that I agree with that might be slightly off versus people that I completely disagree with. What do you think his motivations could be behind that? It seems like daring me to not pick on his friends, not pick on people who are trapped in the stupidity of religion. You know, it seems like he thinks he can get me to not criticize religion by daring me to criticize people who are not religious, who are wrong. And I don't know how well it's going to work, because I'm definitely mindful that, you know, there are some people that I disagree with that are atheist. But it just seems to me like YouTube is very much a cross-section of America and the world, and, you know, as far as the American YouTubers that I watch, you know, there's more atheists than the normal population of America in my subscriptions, definitely, and a lot of the things that they say I agree with, but there's definitely more theists in my subscriptions overall than there are atheists. And that's pretty much because the world is more theist than atheist. And I've used a similar line of reasoning to explain why religious fanatics are actually hidden by moderate Christians and moderate people of faith. Because for every 1,000 moderates, there will be one extremist. And for every 1,000 extremists, there will be one dangerous extremist. So it's, you know, it's a lot harder to find extremism in the realm of atheism when there's less atheists in the world, you know. So when I come across things that piss me off, you know, more than likely it's going to come from a theist, because there's just more theists in the world, you know. And you know, I'm just saying, if everything is equal, which I don't even believe that, you know, I do believe that there are more intelligent people on the atheist side than the theist or Christian side. Just look at the religious makeup of the National Academy of Sciences, and you'll see that the whole argument that babies are atheists when they come out is fucking moot when you look at the fact that most people who become revered in their fields as scientists end up being atheists disproportionately. So do we want to, you know, rely on the dumbest, least educated people on the planet, those under 2 years old, to tell us whether or not it's appropriate to believe in God? Or do we want to rely on the most intelligent people, arguably, you know, in any field of study, and look at what they have to think? So anything I say, by the way, in this video, if you send me a PM, I will back up any citation that you might need. It was a Pew Research poll about the National Academy of Sciences. But yeah, after what just happened with Together for Peace, with him and research, you know, I don't have a problem pointing you guys to the research that I'm looking at, and so you can check up on me. Anyways, so how do I select who I am going to pwn? Well, part of it is actually personal bias, because the things that I have been personally affected by are the stupidities that come from religion. So I get a certain level of joy from correcting that stupidity. That's one of the reasons why I have this channel. I have put a little bit more effort into other channels recently, because some of the ponage that I've done of theists has been kind of cathartic. You know, I actually felt like I did something, and didn't have to for a while, you know. It only takes, you know, correcting one Inventor Gorilla video, you know, and all that is stupid inside of it, to really feel like you've been able to give a knockout punch to stupidity in general. And it can carry you for a little while, you know. And so I go to my other channels and do some creative things. been reading books lately in the quiet, not even with like music for ambiance, just reading books in the quiet. So, what stood out to me in Inventor Gorilla's video, Wakey Wakey Snakey Snakey, there was two things that they're the littlest part of his video, but to me they affected me more. And I know that Inventor Gorilla has previously said, you're picking this one little thing out of my video. Well, it is partially about what affects me more, the things that I talk about. One was the way that Inventor Gorilla characterized what happened between him and arsenic cigarettes. He called it an accident that he spoke his mind. And I really think that Inventor Gorilla should investigate the difference between an accident and regret, because it's not an accident when you do it over and over again. It wasn't an accident that you made the conscious decision to make a video about her. That wasn't accidentally a video about her that she got pissed off about. What kind of guy is dumb enough to piss off an arsenic cigarettes? Yeah, that's you. That's you, because I think it just goes along with the whole Hollywood gorilla thing. So, the other thing, of the two things that stood out to me the most about that video, the little things that probably meant nothing to Inventor Gorilla at the time, but meant more to me. The other thing was he held up a book by Tozer called Knowledge of the Holy. If he makes any more videos about that book, I'm pretty sure that Violently Graceful will hand him his ass on any arguments that come out of that book. But for Inventor Gorilla and the rest of the internet that have the time to listen to me in a long video like this, I will tell you all what I feel about Tozer. Having read a few of his books, like Knowledge of the Holy and The Pursuit of God, I feel like Tozer was a guy who was deeply influenced by the criticism of religion that has come out in the past 2 centuries. Tozer, it seems like he was constantly trying to think, how do I get around all of these critics and the way that they're saying that things that were in the Bible didn't happen. And so Tozer started to look at other apologists, and he was very influenced by many of them who all seem to have the distinction of being saints in the Catholic Church, and a few other apologists that were not in the Catholic Church. But mostly he was very influenced by saints, and it got, when I was reading his books, it got to me so much that he kept on talking about saints. I'm like, wow, this guy really kind of worships these saints, like anything that they said was, so awesome, like golden breath was coming out of them. Yeah. he talked about Saint Bernard of Cluny. I remember that was in The Pursuit of God, and he spoke about him in a way that, well, it was like if an atheist was reading this book and didn't know who Bernard of Cluny was, he wouldn't take it in the same way. It was like he was trying to win over the uneducated atheist or the uneducated Christian, for that matter, because Bernard of Cluny was definitely a worshiper of saints himself. You know, 1,000 years ago. Bernard of Cluny is also known as Bernard of Clairvoy, or Clairvaux, and that's where we get our word clairvoyance now. He believed that divinely he was given a gift to be able to see. And this is one of the ways that Tozer thought that he could get around empirical evidence. Science. Tozer was like, fuck science. They can have all the proof and evidence that they want against something, but it is still a fact because we telepathically or clairvoyantly got this message from God divinely, and it said that it's true. So it doesn't matter whatever evidence that you have that says that it's false, because empirical evidence doesn't stand up to things like divine clairvoyance. So Saint Bernard of Clairvaux was one of his really big inspirations, and part of I'd say a lineage of saint worshippers. Bernard of Clairvaux was also one of the people who I believe was responsible for the deification of Mary. If it weren't for Bernard of Clairvaux, the entirety of Christianity wouldn't be such a virgin cult. People who worship the fact that someone was a virgin for something, and the preoccupation with sniffing around someone's crotch, it has affected our culture even today. Right now we're halfway through my 40 Days for Footage contest, where I'm watching the 40 Days for Life campaign, and they're all about being interested in other people's crotches and what's going on in other people's bedrooms and stuff. This preoccupation with sex and purity being connected to sex, and that virgins are the purest thing. I believe that Bernard of Clairvaux helped to perpetuate this in a way that affected the Catholic Church and later churches. He even called Mary the Queen of Heaven. That's the way he put it. So she went from being a virgin here on earth and a human being, and now in his mind is up in heaven with her own little chair on the side of God. I wonder how Joseph feels about that for all eternity. Kind of like how a guy feels when he loses his girlfriend to a girl. How can I compare to a set of tits? How can Joseph compare to running the whole universe? I'm sure there's a punchline there. I'm just not feeling like punching it out right now. Let's see. What else seems to be an influence of Tozer. Many saints, but when I think of them in particular, one guy who's not sainted yet, I don't believe, is Baron von Hugel. I know that Tozer wrote about him in The Pursuit of God, and Baron von Hugel talked about transcendence and how there's some kind of higher truth than empirical, you know. And they don't have to prove that their truth is higher than what you would get from empirical evidence because, duh, proof is part of empirical evidence, you know. They know it's true because God told them. They transcended, you know, as soon as they became Christians, the words in the Bible just started to scramble around like ants and rearranged, you know. And that has something to do with the last book, Inventor Gorilla, talked about the Bible code that I completely pwned for him. You know, it's Christians who think that as soon as they become a Christian, they get some kind of divine revelation about what their book means, what their holy book means, about the world in general, without even having their holy book as a reference. They think that they're getting some other set of information. It's an extremely bigoted concept to think that only the people who believe the same way you do have access to the best knowledge. Yeah, and when I think about the saints that Tozer was writing about, he talked about St. Augustine and his heart theology. And the heart theology he was talking about is once you become a Christian and God starts talking to you, you know things in your heart. You don't have to know things in your head anymore. You know, you get it again it's an attempt to get around science proving things in front of you and you not wanting to agree with the proof when it's in front of you. And all you got to do is shut your eyes and go, please, voice inside of me, tell me that this proof that I don't want to be true isn't true. Please tell me. And then when the little voice inside of you, your little schizo fucking brain, tells you that it's true because you want it that bad to be true, that, you know, this proof is not true. You know, the proof that comes from science and observable phenomenon, you know. It's Tozer, just examining Tozer and what his motives were is a really good refutation of all of theology in general, not just Christianity. And the way that he talked about other saints like Thomas à Kempis, Luther, St. Francis, he would clump them together and say that what made them all so special wasn't really that they, you know, because sometimes they disagreed with each other. But he said what made them really special was that they were more receptive. They had this receptivity to what God was saying. Forget the fact that they disagreed with each other with the words that were coming out of their mouth if you were to compare what they were saying. He thinks that God was giving them knowledge from on high. And so he used the word receptivity to talk to them. So just to recap over the things that I've already said, clairvoyance, transcendence, receptivity. Christian, do you agree with these things? You know, do they sound like anything else to you? It sounds like a lot of New Age mysticism and even Scientology to me, really. The whole receptivity thing. And as far as the book that Inventor Gorilla is reading right now, and he said he was halfway through reading it the second time. I remember, I believe it's in chapter 5, where Tozer actually describes the Eastern religions as being more advanced and philosophical than Christianity. Yeah. I don't know that Christians believe that other religions are more advanced than theirs, but he says that in chapter 5, I believe. Challenge me on it and I'll look it up, but you have the book, Christian. You can look through chapter 5. If you're reading through it right now, tell me that you don't find that. One more person that Tozer wrote about that I thought was kind of interesting was he wrote about Nicholas of Cunha, or Nicholas of Cusa, rather. Nicholas of Cusa had these meetings with people from other religions, Eastern religions, you know, and Nicholas of Cusa had this concept of una religio in veritate rituum, which basically means that there's one religion and actually just one God, and that all these different religions on the earth were just looking at God in different ways. And that the most important thing is that people have a belief in any God. Doesn't matter which one. Because all of these different paths are equally right in the way that they get to this one God that exists that just happens to be understood in many different ways. And I'm pretty sure that I've lost most Christians in that respect, because I don't think that they believe that. And when this concept gets taken out further, it really seems to me to look very much like the concept of a one world order. When you get a whole bunch of heads of different religions together and they all agree, yeah, we all do believe in this one God. And I know that Inventor Gorilla does not believe that these other religions are true. He has already expressed his contempt for some of these other religions, and that he is part of the elect that are going to be lifted up into heaven from his church, and everyone who doesn't believe the way he does is not going to be part of the rapture. But yeah, Tozer was influenced by somebody who was completely against a concept like that, who thought that just being religious about any different thing on the planet would benefit you. So yeah, that's all I got to say about Tozer. Pretty much all I got to say about Inventor Gorilla. This is a lot shorter than I thought it would be. And tonight I'm going to watch UFC Fight Night because it's free, it's on TV, and I like the UFC. Yeah.